97,612 over the years. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right, so the game's on over here, so I do have to check in every once in a while for the Spurs versus the Knicks. I predicted the Spurs would win this game. I didn't gamble on it or anything, but I actually thought the Spurs would blow them out in this game. But they're up 6 with 7 minutes to go. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. You know, it'd be classic if the Knicks blew they lose the series. Because that's what they do. They choke every single time they have a chance. I remember Patrick Ewing missing like a 4-footer and like Starks missing. It's incredible, really. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yep, how's everybody doing out there? Come on. All right, so I guess what we'll just do is just get started on the here's today's that same kind of blog that they had going. It's hold on, let me see this fast break. Who's going to score right there? Oh, jeez, that was terrible. Yeah, so the defense rested today in the Carmelo Anthony case because it was going. I think it was because it was going so badly that they just said, you know what, we're just damaging over and over and over again. We can't help ourselves. It's just, that's how I think it was going. Hey, thanks, Karen777, for the 777. We had a bunch of trolls show up after last night's show. You know how they do it. They just can't get over themselves. Typed in a bunch of comments. Same person over and over and over again. So you can tell they have this little pattern that they do. Thanks, Wild Bill Wassman. All right, so here is it says trial began at 9 a.m. Defense continued calling witnesses. So they started calling witnesses yesterday. The defense will continue calling witnesses in the high-profile case against Carmelo Anthony in the April 2025 stabbing death of Austin Metcalf during a Frisco track meet. Monday marks the 4th day of testimony. Yeah, so this is day 4. I don't know why when they do trials they count, like when people are saying, hey, it's day 5, when they count like the voir dire, jury selection crap. It's like, that's not the... I know you want to call that part of the trial, but it isn't, okay? It's just, this is when they're selecting the jury, and then after the jury's picked, now the trial starts, right? I mean, that's the reality. But people, that's not true, Gray. It's the whole process, you bastard. I don't agree. All right? All right, here is the... so this is the second one. It's really long here. Court begins on Monday morning. Defense calls 17-year-old Centennial High School student. Shortly after 9 a.m. on Monday, Judge John Roach... Remember that John... his name was, what was it, John Judge? I mean, when you're born with the name of John Judge, you only have one job that you ever get to do. Shortly after 9 a.m. on Monday, Judge John Roach entered the courtroom. It says, for those who are new to the courtroom, I have a policy. You do not speak at all, whispering included. You'll be asked to leave and not allowed back in, Roach informed the gallery. I hate judges. Some of these judges just get so full of themselves, Who cares if somebody's, over there, hey, do you have a piece of paper I could borrow? Oh, you're out of here. I mean, you come in, you got to be like a robot and just stand and stare. And I don't know. It seems like they go overboard sometimes. Thank you, 6 Kids UK. With the 7th on the way. Yeah. All right. Thank you. The witness told the jury that... okay, so after the jury was brought into the courtroom, defense attorneys called their first witness, a 17-year-old Centennial High School student. Defense attorney Mike Howard asked the witness about a conversation with detectives on April 2nd. The witness told the jury that he knew Carmelo Anthony from the football team because the two played the same position. He explained that on the day of the stabbing, he was not on the bus with the team. Carmelo was on the bus, he said. He explained that on the day of the stabbing, he was not on the bus with the team. Carmelo was on the bus. Yeah, so that means he goes to the same school that Carmelo went to, which is Centennial. Austin went to Memorial High School, and then the event was here, like a city track meet. And the Memorial tent was basically right where this pin is, right here. That's 108-100. The witness told the jury that he knew Carmelo Anthony from the football team. Okay, he explained that Carmelo was in a normal mood on the day of the stabbing. He said he spent a pretty decent amount of time with Carmelo, adding that no one knew what was going to happen because of the weather. The witness testified that he was sitting on the bleachers during the track meet on April 2nd, and that he was part of the junior varsity team that day. Had you ever sat at another team's tent? Howard asked. The witness explained that he had never done it, but that he did not avoid it. The witness began explaining the events of April 2nd track meet to the jury. He said that after spending time in the baseball dugout because of rain, he and Carmelo went to the field to put on their spikes and start warming up. So I guess Carmelo was racing that day, I guess. I don't know. He said that a short while later, he noticed Carmelo on the bleachers walking towards the Centennial tarp. Yeah, so right, that's his own school's tarp. He testified that once the rain started to pick up, he saw Carmelo under the Memorial High School tent. Right, so he said he testified that once the rain started to pick up, he saw Carmelo under the Memorial High School tent. The witness said that things started to change when he heard louder voices than usual coming from the Memorial tent. He said he would not classify the voices as yelling. He said he noticed that the front row of people were looking up towards Carmelo. So I guess he was behind them and they turned around and looked at him. The witness told police that at the time he thought his teammate might need his help. He said he began to walk towards Carmelo when he saw a push. He said he didn't know who pushed Carmelo and that he just saw arms. He agreed with Howard that there was a flaring of elbows and that he found it concerning. He told the jury that he wondered what caused the original push and whether Carmelo and Austin Metcalf were friends. Hey, thanks, Allie Cake. As in, I'll eat cake. All right, let's see. He told the jury that he wondered what caused the original push. All right. According to the witness, following the push, it got super loud, and people began standing up. He thought at the time that someone might have been stung by a bee. He said he did not see the stab, and that the next thing that happened was chaos. So the people, when it got really loud and people stood up, that's the stabbing, like, oh my God, like that. It wasn't like it was like that before the stabbing. Can you guys just not worry that much if a piece of text is on the screen? I'm reading the damn thing, okay? Jesus. I don't know what you're saying. If you're to look at for anything. I don't know what that means. It's been a long day. 3:30 is when you essentially have to get to the courtroom. I really don't know what you're talking about up there, Paulette. Is that a look at alley cake for Karen? I mean, that is like, who in the... Okay. I guess you're saying there was a challenge by Karen, but I don't see a challenge by Karen at all. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't understand it because there's no challenge, Paulette. Nobody understands it, what you typed in up there. Is that a look at alley cake for Karen? Not a soul understands that. I do, Gray. I really do. I don't believe you. Yeah, if there's one way up there, sure. Oh, you mean way up there? Well, that's after she did her... Okay, so she did the 777 and then later said... Hold on, let me put it on... Oh, yeah. Well, I guess being on live chat might help. Yeah, it's a close game. I think the Spurs are going to win this one. It's a huge game. This game right here is a massive game because if the Spurs win, it puts New York is in... Now the pressure is back on them. Because if they don't win the next game, then it goes back to San Antonio, then they're in trouble. Okay? So it's kind of crazy, but that's how basketball, that's how it all works. It's never been done before, but you just never know. Yeah, okay. So there is a challenge up. What is it? I don't see it. I'll donate $10 in super chats for something equal. So Alley Cake did 5, so I guess we need another 5 for that to come to fruition. All right, so who's going to do the other one? Yeah. Hey, thanks, Alley Cake. There you go. Thank you. All right, so let's get back to the... He told the jury that he saw Carmelo crying. Okay, that's too far up there. Where were we at? Witness told police that at the time he thought his teammate might need his help. I guess it's way up where the sting... Yeah, okay. The witness told police that at the time he thought his teammate might need his help. He said he began to walk towards Carmelo when he saw a push. He said he didn't know who pushed Carmelo and that he just saw arms. He agreed that with Howard that there was a flaring of elbows and that he found it concerning. He told the jury that he wondered what caused the original push and whether Carmelo and Austin Metcalf were friends. According to the witness, following the push, it got super loud and people began standing up. And he thought somebody was stung by a bee. So that's the stabbing part. That's why it got super loud. It might even be Austin yelling, "Ah, somebody stabbed me," and everybody's like, "Oh my God," and people freaking out at that point. Thanks, Karen. All right, Paulette, maybe people did understand what you were saying. I didn't see what the challenge up there because nobody typed in look at. That's when they're supposed to be for. All right, 108, 102. Oh, this is going to go in by Vassell. Oh, no, I missed it. See, they made all those against us. Every wide open shot went right in. The witness said Austin started pulling up his shirt saying he'd been stabbed. He said some people were trying to help him while others stayed frozen. He said he saw Carmelo running away from the scene, which he described as a light jog. He told the jury that he saw Carmelo crying and that a coach was comforting him and holding him. The witness said the best way to describe Carmelo's demeanor was distraught. Yeah, well, here's the thing. He wanted to stab somebody, but he didn't realize what it would feel like afterwards, and it didn't feel the way he thought it would. And I really don't give a shit that he's this young person, or, you know, he needs to be, anyone who thought, let me see what that feels like, is a psycho, all right? Do you know if the shove was justified or not? Howard asked. No, sir, the witness said. Do you know whether Carmelo's actions were justified or not? Howard asked. No, sir. So you don't know anything. During cross-examination, prosecutor Bill Werski recalled a previous conversation he had with this very same witness. Do you remember the last question you and mom, your mom, or something, you and mom asked me? What do I do if the defense talks to me? Werski asked. Yes, the witness said. Do you remember my answer? Werski asked. That's okay if I do, the witness said. Let's see, I'm not sure what that means. Do you remember the last question you and mom asked me? What do I do if the defense talks to me? Yes, the witness said. Do you remember my answer? That's okay if I do, the witness said. The witness also explained that he now acknowledges he got a few things wrong after seeing the video of the incident. The witness told the jury that he recalled saying that Carmelo was surrounded before the stabbing. He acknowledged that after seeing the video, he knew that Carmelo was not actually surrounded prior to stabbing. I mean, see, this is what I'm talking about. All this stuff like here, was not surrounded prior to the stabbing, Austin Metcalf, and that he was only surrounded after the stabbing. What the hell happened? Oh, man. My whole TV just froze on me. It's unbelievable. Before the stabbing, he acknowledged that after seeing the video, he knew Carmelo was not actually surrounded prior to the stabbing, Austin Metcalf, and that he was only surrounded after the stabbing. The witness told the jury that he had never brought a knife to a track meet, that he had never been under another team's tent, and that he was under another team's tent. If he was under another team's tent, he would leave if he was asked to leave. Yeah. It says, on direct, Howard asked the witness if he used the word surrounded to refer to people forming a U shape around Carmelo prior to the stabbing. The witness agreed. Did you see people around Carmelo? Howard asked, referring to the moment before the stabbing. Yes, sir, all under the tent, witnesses said. Hey, thanks, Karen. This can go to whoever does the next challenge. Well, thank you, Karen. Okay, now it's 111, 108 with, 33 seconds left. Holy crap, man. My TV actually froze. Can you believe that? Like, it's not on. It doesn't work. I can't even turn it on. So you guys are going to have to fill me in on this one. I don't know what the hell's happening. Who's dribbling? Who's got the ball? What's happening? I meant to say go towards whoever. Let's see. So the witness told the jury that he had never brought he had never brought a knife to the, okay, so Spurs are probably going to win. They're up by 5 with 12.2 seconds to go. That's good. The witness told the jury that he had never brought a knife to the track meet, that he had never been under another team's tent, and that he was under another team's tent. If he was under another team's tent, he would leave if he was asked to. So this is Carmelo's witness, right? And he's saying exactly what the rest of us would think. On direct, Howard asked the witness if he used the word surrounded to refer to people forming a U shape around Carmelo prior to the stabbing. The witness agreed. Did you see people around Carmelo? Howard asked, referring to the moments before the stabbing. Yes, sir, all under the tent, the witness said. During the witness recross examination, Worski said, I don't mean to beat you up, but for over a year, what you thought was that your teammate was surrounded before this stabbing. Yes, sir, the witness said. But he was wrong because now he sees the video, right? That changed once you saw the video, Worski said. Yes, sir, the witness said. I mean, doesn't that make sense? Like, just to logical people, like you said, your memory was a certain way, but now that you see the video, you realize that, oh, wow, my perception wasn't correct. Yeah, but that doesn't matter, Jason, that he brought the knife, ignoring the zero tolerance thing. It's not illegal to have it with him. It's just that he is the initial aggressor and that he did it. Okay, there's no, so the legality portion of the knife almost means nothing, it's just sort of a, oh, wow, they have rules. You're not supposed to bring knives to a track meet. It just means he's, not great, Oh, they hit a 3-pointer? Oh, shit. Oh, man, now it's only a 2-point game. Yes, sir, the witness said. That changed once you saw the video. Yes, sir. To the best of your ability, do you know that Carmelo was not on a relay team? Worski asked. The witness said he was 99.9% sure that he was not. Did you know he was an alternate? Worski asked. Who cares? Who cares what Coach Linwood previously testified that Carmelo was an alternate and that he was meant to be warming up and not in the bleachers at the time of the stabbing. Yeah. So, the key here is, the knife that he had, why did he use it? And what was he going to do with it? I mean, so I guess the argument oh, you're not even supposed to have him there. He knew that. So he must have brought it for some other purpose to be used later, but it's not like he can't have it there. You're just not supposed to do that. Just like you're not supposed to sit underneath your competitor's tent. What's weird though, when I was watching the news today, they never once mentioned, everybody kept talking about, why was he underneath that tent? And it's they have a plausible reason, the friend that's underneath the tent. So I don't understand why nobody ever brings that part up. It's kind of weird and creepy. It's like people almost intentionally want to leave that out because it sort of mucks up sort of a perceived story. It doesn't affect. The only thing it does is it makes it less first degree-ish-y. He didn't just go under the tent waiting for somebody to cause a problem and then he was going to stab him. Because he can claim that he was under there, and it's not unreasonable to believe that. So it's reasonable doubt that he went under the tent for the sole purpose of killing somebody. But then you think, well, God, he's got this knife with him, so maybe he planned that, and he kind of went right to the knife, and he's the one that did the, he instigated the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who said it's illegal? It's not illegal to have that knife on him. Yeah, it's not illegal at all. Let's see. It's just not. It's just against the rules to have it. I mean, so I don't know. I guess if maybe that's what Jason's saying is like that sort of shows that he brought it there for maybe it's circumstantial evidence that he brought it there for some other reason. Yeah. Did you know he was an alternate? Yeah, I'm not sure who cares about this part? Oh, he's an alternate. Okay, he's innocent now. I mean, what does it matter, the alternate thing? He was there, and if they needed him, he was going to compete. So he was just like anybody else. He just wasn't as good as anybody else. I just don't understand what they're trying to, prove by saying that. I think this defense team was lost. And I think any defense team would have been lost. There's no way to sugarcoat it, Defense calls Frisco police officers to the stand. The defense called Officer Bo Riley with the Frisco Police Department to the stand. Riley, should have said Riley. Riley was called out to the stadium on April 2nd. He was assigned to assist with interviewing witnesses. He said he interviewed a witness who previously testified in this trial. That witness knew both Carmelo and Austin. Riley said he looked through the witness's phone, checking Snapchats, texts, and videos. He said he did not recall if he saw any deleted photos. Riley told the jury that he did not take the phone to be looked at. He testified that under Texas law, certain items are prohibited at specific locations. He said knives and blades under 5.5 inches are not illegal to have at school stadium. Sorry, Cindy. You're wrong. You're wrong, Cindy. I literally just read that. I just read it to you. Yeah, just read it to you. He testified that under Texas law, certain items are prohibited at specific locations. He said knives with blades under 5.5 inches are not illegal to have at school stadium, but they are against school policy. Did you hear that? Hello? I just read it to you there, Cindy. You keep typing in that you got it all nailed down, but it turns out that you're incorrect. And this is a police officer. This isn't some rando person with a thought. All right, you got it? Awesome. All right. But by the way, if you guys are out there and you have the ability to help support the channel, we're at 1/5 of a nightly goal. So if you have the ability, that would be great. And then we can, at the end of the month, hopefully we can build that up. I'm kind of looking forward to finally getting to the $300,000 donated to true crime related charities. Do you guys see what I just read though? It shows that it is not illegal to have the knife that he had there. Well, it's not, Cindy. It's not. I just told you. You might work a gate in your state, but this isn't your state. Okay? Just because you worked a gate somewhere and that's how it was where you were, doesn't mean that that's what it is here. Okay? All right. It's not a national law. It's just, people, it's different. And it's 3.5 inches, not 5.5. So it looks like the Spurs won. Oh, man. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs blow out the Knicks in Game 4, because the Knicks are going to be absolutely petrified that they're doing it again, man. The whole city was for them. You've got this, man. Take it home to the crib. And boom, you watch. You just watch it. Okay, so that was that one, and then we're going to move on here. Defense calls Frisco High School senior to the stand. Defense attorney Mike Howard called a 17-year-old student in Frisco ISD to the stand. The witness explained that he is entering his senior year and is committed to LSU. The witness told the jury that track meets are really social and that kids commonly go see probably others under other team tents. The witness said he does not personally enter other teams' tents. The 17-year-old who was at the track meet on the day in question said that he saw that everybody was standing up, and all of a sudden I saw someone getting punched or something like that, under the memorial tent. Howard and the witness discussed whether the kid that got hit came back with a swing motion. The witness agreed that he said this, but said he had a hard time remembering if that's what actually happened because the incident was so long ago. The witness testified that after the stabbing, people were scattering and saying that someone had been stabbed. During cross-examination, Prosecutor Bill Werski explained that he and the witness met a few weeks ago at the Frisco Police Department. Werski questioned the witness's memory, asking if the witness was kind of just guessing regarding some of his statements. After some discussion over whether Austin's contact with Carmela was a push, punch, or jab, Werski asked the witness to reenact the contact. The witness appeared confused and repeatedly said, "I don't know." Right, because he doesn't remember it. You know, that's the truth. Yeah, I don't care if you can't see it. Armadillo. You know that? It doesn't matter, does it? Because I'm reading it to you. And you're somebody that hasn't really ever commented in here before, so you're just somebody that's trolling. Good job. All right, let's see. Let's get another one in here. Court takes a brief recess at 10:51. Judge John Roach called for a brief recess shortly before 10:50 a.m. The trial's expected to resume shortly. Then 11:16, the court recesses for lunch. And then we have this one. No, that's not what they're doing, Karen. That's a troll there. That's why they come out of nowhere. They don't speak the whole damn show. Have never seen them in my life. But because somebody said it before, they want to repeat it. Court resumes after a 2-hour delay. Defense rest. Are you being a troll, Paulette? Jesus, what are you doing? You say hello to somebody that's bitching and complaining right out of the chute? Yeah, get out of here. All right, let's see. After a lengthy delay, the defense has rested in the first-degree murder. So they just went, we're going to rest. You know why they rested here? Because they rested because every single witness that they called to come up was ridiculous. Okay, like they'd say something, and then it would be completely reversed. And one of them even said that his own witness said that Carmelo Anthony was the aggressor. Okay, and I think after a few of those, they just went, you know what? We just need to let's go on. You know, let's go to the next one. You get what I'm saying? Oh my God, my lips don't match the sound now, though. Oh, jeez. This is going to be one of those nights, isn't it? It's just... Guess what? Oh, but we're not going to get to know the answer to the why he was carrying it in the first place. There's no evidence that tells us why he was carrying it in the first place. All you can say is it's a rule that he isn't supposed to have one, but it's not illegal for him to have one. He seemed to go over to that section. Maybe he was talking to a friend over there, but then when he wouldn't leave when asked, it seems at that point he decided that he is going to stand his ground and that he was going to basically incite what happened. That's what he did. And then you can go back and say, oh, well, he must have brought the knife because he was going to do that. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I just don't know if there's a way to prove it or even really make it something that's incredibly likely where it would be reasonable doubt that he did that. You could actually make an argument, a reasonable doubt that he brought the knife over there to stab somebody, even though I think that he did bring it over there and he wanted to incite and be the aggressor. He's the one that incited it. It seems like he was hell-bent on having somebody touch him so that he could stab somebody and then claim self-defense. That's what it seems like. And I don't know. What do you guys... Because it's going to go to the jury now. There's going to be closing arguments. It's going to go to a jury. I think what the defense said is, you know what? We've got a really great appeal opportunity with the removal of the 3 black teachers. So then we're just going to case rested here. We don't want more people agreeing with the prosecution, and let's just see what happens, Because the jury might come back and say something like, well, I think it's second-degree murder, or, yeah, I mean, I think second-degree has a better chance than first-degree, but, it wouldn't surprise me if they got all the way up to there, because, if all the jurors believe that he wasn't supposed to have the knife, it wasn't normally supposed to bring it. It's not illegal, though, so... But, just under the school rules, so then you think, well, why would he break that rule? And then having the knife, so he breaks the rule by having a knife, then he goes and sits under the opposing team's tent and won't leave, and then challenges them to touch him because he's got something for them, and then he uses the knife that he has in his backpack. And so he's the initial aggressor, and his posture, based on what he was saying, would have made it legal for... I mean, I think the best way to look at this case is that Austin Metcalf would have been legally justified to kill Carmelo Anthony based on the evidence that was presented at trial. And that means that he is the person, he's the victim. That means the aggressor was Carmelo Anthony. You get it? Hey, Alley Cake said she'll donate 10 if 10 more is donated. Let's see if we can do that one. I've had a massive lull. I had a good start, but I always know that that's not going to last. Yeah. If I want to get up at 3:30 a.m. again. Do you guys see the challenge? It's right there. Yeah. Nobody even typed in look it. You guys are, man. The jury will stay at after a lengthy delay, the defense has rested its case in the first-degree murder trial of Carmelo Anthony. Both the prosecution and the defense have finished presenting their cases, and the jury has heard all the evidence that will be presented in court. Closing arguments will take place on Tuesday morning. The jury will deliberate all day on Tuesday and will be sequestered for the duration of deliberation. The jury will stay at a hotel and have no access to TV or phone. According to Judge Roach, the jury will be sequestered from the outside world. Judge Roach instructed the jury not to discuss the case outside their deliberations. The jury was warned not to look anything up online, including on social media, because they don't know anything. Except you're able to. How do you like that one, Jason? How do you like that one? Listen to this one. This is what I would have put in there. The jury was warned not to look anything up online, including on social media, because they don't know anything. Right, but they're allowed to tell the jury that the guy's guilty. Oh yeah, he murdered him. But they can't look anything up. That's hilarious. According to Judge Roach, the jury charge is long, so they will address that during court on Tuesday morning. I'd like to see the jury charge. Hey, thanks, Allie Cake and Karen K. Let's see. Gotta get Allie Cake up there. All right. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I mean, 99 years. I don't know. It seems kind of, especially. The problem. Here's the problem I have, though. Okay, if he gets first degree, then that means they believe that he brought the knife to sit over there, and then he. What's the word that they're using? I'm using. He's the one that, like, I'm not sure, like, he's the aggressor. He's the one that, caused the situation intentionally, trying to get somebody, like, even, hey, touch me. Touch me and see what happens. Okay, now punch me and see what happens. Oh, and then he stabs him. Like he was just ready to do that. So if that's true, then, gosh, I mean, do you really want somebody like that ever in society again? Do you? I mean, I sure as hell don't. Hey, thanks, Blazer HR80. And you said, boom, I don't know how to do challenge, but here you go. Well, a challenge you just say out loud. You say something like, hey, I'll donate 5 memberships if 5 individuals donate 1. Something like that. It's not, there's no official, there's no button to press or something like that. You just type it in and then. Nah, premeditate wasn't the word. It's the part about instigated, but there's a different word other than instigated that we've been using, but it's not popping into my brain. It was more like, I don't know. Let me see if I can find that. Thank you, a crying shame. I remember you. Didn't you used to watch over here a long time ago? Generally, whether somebody murder. What's the no? I'm just looking for the term of somebody who, like, their action. They're the ones that provoke. That's the word I was looking for. Not instigated. It was provoked. That was the term I was looking for. Yeah. So Carmelo Anthony provoked. Yeah, I said that, Elena. Carmelo Anthony provoked the Austin into doing what he did. He literally did it over and over and over again. Well, you probably thought you typed it in before me, but because you're 10 seconds. Well, you probably did, but you're 10 seconds behind, so I haven't seen it yet. Let's see. Oh, cool, a crying shame. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just really a simple. It's a case where it's really simple to determine that Carmelo Anthony is the initial aggressor, and he never gave up. Like he never rehabilitated himself for the stand your ground rule, which means that he had to have said, "Okay, I'm out of here, I'm leaving," and then was basically, re-engaged by Austin, and therefore he can reclaim his stand your ground statue. I mean, it's really crazy that exists as something. You instigate and start something, but then you can oh my God, you're the initial aggressor. So then if you pretend that you're leaving now, you can then pretend, go back in it and say, okay, now I stand my ground again. It's just wild. But I think in this case, I mean, the only person who said they didn't want to fight was Austin. He goes, yeah, I'm not going to fight you here at a track meet. Okay. And it's really all it is Carmelo Anthony seemingly wanting to do this. And then after he did it, maybe he did feel bad, but I don't care, I don't want somebody, this guy, based on the information that we have, is a psycho. I mean, I don't want somebody like that in society. It's a monster. I mean, I guess, if you give him like 40 years and he gets out at 58, maybe, okay. I don't know. I think it's going to be second degree murder, though. That's what I think. But I just, when you see the information, how it went down, just kind of picture in your head, you got these students sitting under their own tent. They're sitting there and they're just kind of chilling out, getting ready and wearing their spikes and their shorts and whatnot, and just kind of, and all of a sudden this guy sits down and he's not part of your group, he's not on your team or anything. And sure, he might be talking to somebody that he knew in there, but that person didn't speak up, which is a shame, However, they didn't speak up, so from the perspective of Austin and his brother and everybody else, they didn't know what the hell the guy was doing there, except the guy that he went to visit. So he's sitting there, and then they say, hey, can you leave? This isn't, you're not part of our team. Make me. And they're like, who are you? Nobody. Well, if you're nobody, you should leave. Well, make me leave. Touch me and see what happens. And then there was like F y'all and that kind of stuff over and over, things like that. And then touch me, see what happens. And there was like a touch on a shoulder or something. Then he goes, punch me and see what happens. And then there was like a little shove, and then boom, the knife comes out, and he's already reached in the bag and everything, and he stabs him, kills him. That's ridiculous. It is on the table. Well, it's not called second degree in Texas, I guess. It's just called murder. It isn't all or nothing. You're incorrect yet again. Let's see. He was suspended from school for a knife and wasn't allowed to school functions. So not only the 10th... When was that presented? Retro Man. Was that presented at trial, that he was suspended from school for having a knife? That wasn't in any of the things that we read, but of course, what we're reading obviously cannot be the whole thing because of the amount of time it took to read it. Thank you, Karen. And thanks, Karen, for your generosity, and everybody else. Mm-hmm. You live in Korea? 안녕하세요. That's about. I remember I taught this one kid, Korean kid, English for a while. Let's see. It's not gray. It's just gagged until trial ends. What is? What are you talking about? It's not gray. It's who's. What do you? I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know what I asked that would be an answer to. If the judge doesn't instruct for a lesser charge, then the jury is limited to consider only the current one, I think. Well, I mean, it started off where there was 3 different options, right? There was first degree murder and then manslaughter. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how it all shakes out. Mm-hmm. Know what, Cindy? You just do it. You always just speak. You're just contradictory without the facts. Just kind of you do it a lot. Just like earlier, you were wrong, and now you're just saying no for the sake of saying no. Let's see. I guess we'll see, though. Here's what I can't imagine going in there and saying it's first degree or nothing, everybody. Although maybe because if you do that and people are like, yeah, I'm just not comfortable with first degree. Okay, he's not guilty of first degree murder, and then there's nothing. You have to have a backup somehow, like murder. That would be a backup, and then you could have that one, and manslaughter would have been the case if it turned out that Austin was the primary aggressor, like he was the main aggressor. If that was Austin, then you'd have a manslaughter charge because it was excessive force given the force applied to him, right? But it would mean that he had justifiable fear, a little bit. However, the force he used back was overboard, like it was way too much. So then he would have manslaughter. But that's not what happened here. He was the primary aggressor. So that puts him either in murder or first degree murder, right? I mean, that's just the reality. Okay, well, that's what they did in that case, Cindy. But why does that mean that it's going to happen in this one? So that's what I don't understand. You keep applying your life experience about some other case to this one when that's not really how you do it. You got to, I remember when we first started this, those were the 3 options. Now, maybe the judge, maybe the prosecution will say, hey, judge, we just want you to limit it to this, make arguments, and he'll say, sure. And the defense would probably be happy with that. All he had to do was pull it out of his jean pocket. Some of them have little button. What does that mean, Karen? I don't know what that means. It wouldn't have changed anything if he'd pulled the knife out of his jean pocket. Yeah. I don't even see Elena in here for some reason. Oh, there she is. It was a folding knife, yeah. So he had to actually, he could have had it open inside the backpack, for sure. Mm-hmm. And because I think that's what he was doing. He was probably fiddling with it. Thanks, Wild Bill Wassman. And a crying shame. Some people actually like the way I am. Isn't that amazing? Thanks, a crying shame. Believe it or not, some people actually like the way I am. It's scary. It really is gray. All right. Well, I kind of wanted to do my father's alibi. Remember that case, you guys? Is there anybody that doesn't know that one? It's the Nancy Galvani and then her daughter Allison, who came on our show, and then we made a video, and then not too long after that, after 40 years of nothing, the prosecutors then arrested her father. And that one, I think it's a really, that case was so, like, it's so ludicrous. But she sent me the bail document that actually goes through the case again. So I don't know if you guys would be interested in that. But. And then there's apparently a preliminary hearing coming up in a couple of weeks that I can get the transcript for. It's just a ridiculous case. That there's really no reason that shouldn't have been, like this should have been completely finished 40 years ago. It's one of the most ludicrous cases. I bet you, if you heard the facts of this one, Jason, you would just go, "That's insane. How come they didn't do anything?" Yeah, she even said that today, that, oh yeah, we absolutely helped over here. We were like the main channel that was helping, and I made a video that she sent to the prosecutors, and they kept hearing back, and it's almost bizarre, strange, like that's where you might believe that there was a cover-up of some kind, that there was people with money paid people off, because man, that is one ridiculous case. But we can talk about this one for a little bit more. How about you want to call in, Jason, for like 30 minutes or so? I can put it on the screen. But hey, you guys, if you guys could help support the channel, that'd be awesome. We're I don't know, $25 short of 50% now. You know what I should do is I should just use StreamYard, because it's down below here. It works a lot better, doesn't it? Whenever I use the one over to the right, it goes up, and then you see it there on the screen. Thanks, Wild Bill Wassman. All right, there it is. I guess anybody can call in. We can do this for, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes or so. And then I want to go over the Nancy Galvani documents that we have. But it's really just ridiculous, that case. I mean, gosh. I mean, the mom's supposed to pick up her daughter at her ex-husband. And when she gets there, the daughter's not there because he had her stay at another home. But we don't know how that all went. But the daughter was sent to stay at somebody else's house on the night that he changed the night she's supposed to come over to pick her up. And then she is staying overnight at somebody else's house because he was going to kill her. And that's exactly what he did. And then her clothing was found inside of his house. But, it just, the information is ludicrous. Her car was in his garage. Her clothes was off. And then he moved the car one night to the other garage because he owned two homes right next to each other in San Francisco there. Or not San Francisco, but that little Bay Area. Unbelievable stuff. Yep. All right. Well, whoever wants to call in, you can give your thoughts on the Carmelo Anthony, Melo as he likes to be called. He's so cool, man.
Call from James, a.k.a. Jason.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How's it going tonight?
Yeah, not too bad. Just chilling out.
Well, shout out to the freaks.
Yeah, shout out to the freaks. I don't know, man. It seems like whenever there's always these stealth trolls that show up, you know, like these little like somebody. I always get when somebody never comments ever, and their first comment is complaining about something, then I know that there's probably not something too good right there, you know. That's gonna.
Yeah, well, you got the final call on that one, boss, and you know, I mean, you've been doing this rodeo for a while, so
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you recognize things long before I would. You kind of know the way that they're going. Where someone like me, I might not get it that quickly. You might call one or two more lines, and then I'd be like, I see where this is going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So, you know, what did you say? It was $600,000 that was spent on that defense.
Well, I think there was a GoFundMe for him for that much.
Yeah.
But I don't know what was spent on it. But yeah, I mean, what a joke. These guys sucked. You know?
I mean, you know, Gray, I thought more and more about it, and I heard it in other places where people were having concerns about the fact that when it was asked, well, do you think it was self-defense or murder?
Yeah.
That there was no objection.
Have you heard other people are talking about that now a little bit?
Oh yeah, that's been percolating. Other people have been and people with legal backgrounds have been having issues with it, such as why wasn't it challenged by the defense? At least challenged.
Well, that's why I was making such a big deal about it, because I think it's one of the most ludicrous things I've ever seen in a trial. Now people go, well, because it was a self-defense. Well, it doesn't matter that it was a self-defense case. It has nothing to do with anything. Well, I guess that was sort of a, you know, some wording that it's a little something, they could have an opinion on something. But that's not what the ultimate thing was. It says, yes, they can have opinions on these various things, you know, like, okay, he looked like he was angry, he had he pulled out his knife, he did this and this, but you can't end up saying it's murder, you know? I mean, that's why we were laughing, because it's almost dumb, but, you know, it's crazy.
I could understand if the question was posed as, we're just asking for your opinion here, and we know that you don't know anything as a fact, but in your opinion, do you think that it was? Yeah,
but they wouldn't allow it. But you can't allow that kind of stuff. I wouldn't even accept it then, because it's too prejudicial situation, right? Like, you know, that's what a judge, it is, and it's crazy, right? Like everybody, you bring out 60 witnesses in a row. Listen, it's up to the jury to decide, but do you think it's murder? Yes, I do. I mean, my God, really? Yeah, I don't know.
It sounds so Saturday Night Live, like a skit, I swear. You know, it's like ridiculous, and you just wonder if, I mean, and it happened more than once, and it never was challenged.
Yeah,
you know, and for that kind of money, I mean, you kind of expect it from a court-appointed attorney, not somebody that you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's weird, too, because I remember when I brought it up yesterday, everybody's like, I don't know, Gray, I don't know. But for me, I've covered a lot of cases, a lot of trials, and that is absurd that that wasn't at least like objection, Your Honor, or something. There's no way that the judge, I mean, maybe he had some weird rulings prior that said, yes, you're allowed to ask each witness that comes up, each layperson, if they believe it was a murder or not. You know, and then they had to let that go. But it could be that the defense is going to use that in closing or something, something like, hey, they want you to believe it was murder. That's why they had all their people stomp up here and say that. But it's up to you to decide. But I think they're in a place now where they're just they're screwed. And by the way, I heard people on TV saying that he needed to testify, and that's exactly what I said. He did need to testify. He needed to go up there
and
say,
did not.
He needed to go up there and say, this is why I felt scared. Like if he went up there and he said, you know, I have the knife with me all the time just because I come from a town that the area that I live in, It's a little bit more aggressive and so forth, so I just never know what's going to happen. And then when I sat down in that area there, I sat down next to my friend and talked to him. And then when I was asked to leave, I was like, well, why the hell do I have to leave? And I felt insulted, and then I was there, and then all of a sudden I was asked to leave, and these really two big kids came, and then you went through the whole story, and you just kind of tell your version of it. Because that's the only way that anybody is going to be able to even picture anything, because even your own witnesses said that you're the aggressor. So I guess even you went up there and he tried to tell a story where somebody else was the aggressor. It'd be hard for the jury to believe him because it's totally self-serving at that point, the story. But anyways.
There was something that when the lawyers talked, because I'm sure they talked about it as a strategy that, okay, it certainly would be advantageous for the jury to hear directly from the defendant why he was scared, what he was feeling that particular day. And so, but they must have also said, but there's going to be a recross by the state. And when the state does the recross, what are the type of questions that they can ask that he's going to have to answer that could look really damaging? And they must have thought that even with good coaching, so that even if the prosecutor asks you this question, make sure that this is the answer. But I mean, still, they must have said that even with the best coaching, he was going to be locked into certain positions of having to answer certain things that would make him look even worse than taking the stand, potentially.
Yeah, 6 Kids UK, she just, or he, or I don't know, I guess that's a girl. She said the Daily Mail reports that the prosecution, defense, and Anthony's parents met with the judge, and the parents left in tears. Because the defense must have said, man, I mean, we just don't have, our witnesses are even agreeing with the prosecution, right?
I think what really happened there today, and we don't know about this because it was a private meeting, but I think the defense said today, we're screwed. We are done. Where our goose is cooked. Yeah. We got to go to the judge right now and say, listen, we'll plead guilty if you come back with this type, or if we can make this type of a deal happen. And I think the prosecutor said, no way, I'm not cutting any slack. I'm not making a deal because a prosecutor is so certain that he's going to get a conviction. It's like, I don't need
a deal would be a conviction, right? I mean, pretty much. Well, not a conviction, but it'd be basically one. I mean, he would have pled guilty. He was probably going to go for second degree. But, I don't know.
Probably so.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe,
I mean, the thing about it, I'm hearing that if he gets 30 years even, or 25, that he's out in less than 15.
Hold on a second. Hey, 6 Kids, I realized the idiocy of my comment. Like, I didn't know if you were a guy or a girl. I mean, we talked about the other day that you had a bunch of babies, okay? And men can't have babies. So I knew that you were a female. I don't know why my brain said that, okay? Sorry. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I do agree with Wild Bill's comment right there, and that's another indication of how poorly that whole side of the case was run. Yep.
Yeah, and listen to it like his parents, and then you listen to that stupid advocate that they have running around, just talking about white supremacy and racism and stuff. He's an embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these all these people sort of came out of the woodwork during the 3 presidencies ago. It just turned into this whole everything's about race society. And, it's just getting ridiculous. Things were actually better before that. Anybody can do whatever the hell they want in this country. You just have to want to do it and go do it,
So when we talk about that and we talk about bringing a knife onto school property, so, I mean, I agree from a legal point of view that that's okay for him to do, but from the rules that go with the school, it's not okay for him to do. And if he did it on this one occasion, or if he just normally kept a knife in the backpack all the time, wherever he went, in case there ever was a problem, it still shows a disregard for the rules. And certainly shows that if he carried it all the time, that it would be there for help in case that he got into a situation that he needed to use it on.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if he's carrying it with him on school grounds, whether it's his own school or this school, it's definitely showing that he understands that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, yeah. He just always has it with him because he doesn't, there could be some altercation at any point. But what's weird is that means that he's going to use it and it might end up killing somebody. I mean, it's sort of like having a gun. People have guns for self-defense, but I don't know, man. It seems weird in high school there are shootings and whatnot in high schools and violence. I mean, our world is just so different now than when I was a kid.
Well, the one thing about it, how it's interesting, and that is, so that when you think like how most fights occur, that, like let's say somebody's in the school in a hall, or, maybe they're outside the school and they say like, hey, outside, let's go, or however they say it. But in order for that even to be an effective thing for him, he would always have to have the backpack near him. So if somebody said, let's go outside right now, well, he'd have to take the backpack out there with him so he could get at the knife, unless he took it out before he went, and then they'd know he had it. So it almost suggests like a thing that, you know that you're going to have that backpack near you if you get into a confrontation. And there's only so many situations that would be like that where, like, let's just say if you were wearing the backpack and you got confronted by somebody, are you going to get the backpack off fast enough before punches fly? So there's just certain things about it that I think suggest that he intended to use that if a confrontation went down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think of? I think he needed to testify in this case. So a lot of people are saying he shouldn't have testified. He's kind of an angry kid and whatnot, and it would be bad for him. But I don't think it could get worse for him. I think he needed to get up there. And, even if he comes off as shitty, the same result would happen. But there's a chance that he could have got up and said something that would be like, yeah, I think I'd be scared too. And I just really can't give him first degree. So let's go with, I mean, who knows? He needed to get up there and explain it from his perspective. That's exactly what this case demanded from him, even though he's not required to. This is one of those exact cases that you need someone to tell us what he saw and heard, how he felt, etc.
And with a 3.7 GPA, he certainly was capable of sitting down in a chair across from his attorney and being counseled on what type of questions he would be asked on a recross. He could have said, this is where the prosecutor is going to go with this. So these are the answers that you need to know. And he would have been smart enough to remember those answers if he carries a 3.7 GPA. Certainly smart enough to recall what the attorney said to say when certain things were posed. So I agree with you 100%. And in my mind, if the attorney would have went to him and said, listen, we got to go for broke because you're in a situation here where if you don't do anything, you're going to face severe consequences. And so you might as well try to do something. And the fact that conversation apparently didn't occur suggests to me that was some weak representation.
Yeah. And here's the thing is I would agree with people like Sandy that said, getting up there and speaking is a mistake. If there were like some of the witness said, yeah, I heard Austin say, hey, man, I'm going to pick you up and throw you out of here. And then he walked right towards him. Then it would be like, okay, you don't need to testify because there's enough people that sort of corroborate that you were not the initial aggressor. Okay, but that's not what happened. His own witnesses made him the initial aggressor. So that's why he needed to go up and explain it from his point of view. Right? I mean, Because none of the testimony worked in his favor at all, other than that there was a guy that he might have been talking to under the tent, which gives him a reason to be there instead of just there to provoke, right? So now I stick by with what I'm saying. I think he needed to get up there.
He did, and I certainly think he was advised by his attorney, don't do this, because I think if his attorney would have said, well, we have to do it, that he would have done it. He would have followed the advice of his attorney, and he would have got up there. So something about that attorney, and certainly incompetence, in my opinion. Maybe they're trying to appeal, and they worry that if he said something, it would hurt the chances for appeal. I don't know, about that but he should be easily coachable for all the things that the prosecution could ask him on the recross. Like if they go here, you say this. And so I agree 100%. But now the chance has passed. And so now we get to hear the closing statements.
Yeah, and then what's the defense going to say? Hey, despite the fact that every single witness came up here and said that our client is the initial aggressor, they're wrong. It's just okay.
Well,
right.
we can. I think it would kind of be fun to be able to maybe if you. Like I could play the defense guy who gets up there and, Well,
I could do the defense better. I would do him better, I think. I think I could be...
Okay. You want me to be the prosecutor then?
But I think if I was a defense guy, I'd get up there and say, listen, Carmelo Anthony was at the track event. He was visiting one of his friends underneath a competitor's tent. And he was talking to him. And then, for no reason... in his mind, these people asked him to leave the tent. And he felt offended by that. And then he said he's not going to leave. And then these people that came up to him, Austin and his brother Hunter, were imposing figures and started moving towards him. And after our client said that he's just not going to leave, and they'll leave out the part where he said... see what I do if you, touch me and see what I do. Okay. They don't put that in there. So, words were flying back and forth, and our client said, hey, if you touch me, that's where I would bring up the thing that I said the other day. And then you might ask yourself, why did our client say, touch me and see what I do? Well, the reason he said that is because one of them had already threatened. It never came out in the story, but they threatened to touch him and move him physically out of the tent. So he said, touch me and see what I do. And then one of them touched him, and then he held back. He didn't do anything on that one because he was merely touched in the shoulder. And then he said, if you punch me, see what happens. And then he got a hard shove, and just out of instinct, he grabbed the knife and stabbed the victim, or not the victim, stabbed Austin, okay? He stabbed Austin. He stabbed Austin. And, so he wasn't the aggressor. He was sitting there minding his own business, and Austin came up and told him to get the hell out of there. They came towards him. They physically touched him first. He pulled out his knife, defending himself, and he stabbed Austin. And I think you just kind of I think that's about it, really. Go from there, But, give him a reason that he's there, etc. It's not really good exercise because it's hard to make a really good point. Because you have to leave shit out, You got to leave crap out to even make it work,
I'd be glad to play the prosecutor role on that one.
Yeah, well, I can do that one too, but yeah, you. Why don't you try? How about try to do the defense one yourself, right now?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
the whole thing,
this is a sad, unfortunate situation that we have a very young man here who acted in the heat of the moment. This was a crime, most certainly, ladies and gentlemen, but it wasn't your traditional crime where someone plotted out the death of Mr. Metcalf. This was a crime that happened in a few moments. And so because of that, ladies and gentlemen, this is not really murder. This is manslaughter. He didn't go in there intending that this person should perish. He went in there to get shelter from the rain. That's why he was there, ladies and gentlemen. So,
yeah, and a friend.
In your and to see his friend. And so, in the consideration of this, we don't see Mr. Anthony as someone who is out for trouble. And he, in fact, said to Mr. Metcalf, "You're the only one that has a problem with me being here." So there was never a problem with Mr. Anthony being under the tent until Mr. Metcalf raised the issue. And it's true. Our defendant did feel threatened. He did feel that the brothers were standing nearby. He did notice that they were larger than him. And so, yes, it goes exactly what he said. He put his hands in the backpack because he was trying to make them walk away because maybe he did have something in there. But he didn't really think that they would step forward and test him out and find out. And that's what happened. He stepped forward. He wanted to test the bluff. And Mr. Anthony then had no choice but to strike.
What was going to follow? What was going to follow the shove to the shoulder? I mean, how do I know it? It seemed this really big guy. What was going to follow that? Yeah. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is clearly not murder. This is an accident. It was an accident that was never intended.
You said it was a crime. An accident? What the hell are you talking about?
It was an accidental crime.
Yeah. It was an accidental stabbing. He was going to pick his tooth at that moment, and by God, he went the wrong direction. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think that... So if I'm a jury member and I heard that argument, I wouldn't be swayed by that. Even what I just said myself, I wouldn't be swayed by that at all. But
I thought it was pretty good other than that last part about it was an accident. I think you'd have to say, what you're looking to try to get is manslaughter, basically. So you might say... And
I'm trying to get sympathy. That's what I was working on there was sympathy.
Right, like he's... well, you could have gone through his 3.7 GPA. You have to really humanize him to the jury, you know. I mean, this kid's got 3.7, you know.
Right, right. But I do think, you know, the prosecutor, that's the better one to do because you can really slice and dice and, you know.
I'd have to really get that one prepared and go through all the witnesses to get the order of, because there was one witness the other day, last week on Friday that had a lot more stuff, you know, like F y'all and the order. It seems to make a hell of a lot more sense. It kind of explained why he said, touch me and see what happens. Remember that? It kind of explained that whole thing. So I don't remember the specifics of it. But yeah, if you had all that written down and you could just verbatim say it again, and then every single witness seemed to say, hey, I don't really want to fight, you know, at a track meet, which means I'd fight you anywhere else, just not at the track meet. But that's good enough to say, I'm not fighting you here today.
Right. Right. I mean, I personally think that his goose is cooked. I can't see them coming. And what's amazing to me is I go to other places just to see what opinions are, and there's some people who swear up and down that he's going to walk.
Oh, no chance, man. Well, you know what? You never can say no chance because you never know how people are, because they could be those same idiots that are sitting in those chat rooms talking. You see? So that's just how it works. I mean, anybody with common sense, logic, and reason can see the reality here. But I think there's people out there, it's sort of like when everybody was so into having transgender females competing in sports because they didn't want to be the one that said, man, this doesn't even make any sense. They didn't want to be that person.
Right.
So they just went along with what was PC in their little community that they live in, and you don't want to. So that's kind of what I see here is like there's people out there that look the other way from logic and reason because they don't want to be perceived as somehow racist. I actually think that is the tactic that these race-baiting people like the family friends, that's what their tactic is to frame it as a racial case so that there's people out there that will sort of choose to think of it differently because they don't want to be accused of being a racist. And I think that's sick that happens. And I know that's exactly what he's doing in that activist guy. 100%.
Yeah. Well, tribalism is very real. It's very real, and I think there's certain, populations in our society that favor it more than others. And I don't agree with the fact that, like when I think about justice, I think about it as supposed to be blind, it's supposed to be colorblind. So it shouldn't matter what color you are when it comes to justice. And in this particular situation, what's so relevant is that a certain portion of the witnesses here are minorities. They're African American, and they're testifying against someone who is an African American. They're saying that, that it was murder. That's what they're saying.
I think some of the witnesses were black people, right? That came up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So that alone,
against
right
their
there,
community, against the community, knowing that when they leave the courtroom, how dare you tell the truth?
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
But they stuck up for Austin because these witnesses personally, and some were his teammates, knew Austin. And they knew the kind of person that he was. And, this is the great part where race didn't apply, where they didn't say like, well, we're friends with you, but because you're white, we can't really side with you. That didn't happen. Not once. They all came to his defense, and rightly so. So to me, that's a very positive aspect of, like when we think about race relations in our society, that it isn't necessarily all bad, and that, I'm glad that they stepped forward, and I'm also glad that the three jurors, and I think what happened is, they knew they were going in for jury duty, and they had conversations with the family, and they said, we can't go in there and, convict someone from our own community, and the family's like, well, just go in there and tell them that you can't do it because you couldn't find them guilty, and they'll have to release you then because of your bias. They won't let you sit on the jury. And so I think it was deliberate. I think they deliberately said those things so that they would be released and not have to convict someone from their community.
I was actually talking to my kid today, like, wow, I mean, why does it matter what the racial makeup is on a jury? The thing is, if you pick a good jury of people that are rational thinkers and so forth, what would be the reason that you would then see? It makes me curious of why you want to have multiple black people on there, because you think that they'll negate, be jury nullification, right? That's what you're thinking. Without, like, they're going to forego the facts of the case to free this person. And so, I don't know, man. It's sort of a sad day. I mean, when they say jury of your peers, I guess you might think, okay, well, you need to have some black representation to be a jury of my peers. But I don't know. It's kind of, there's something disturbing about it. That concept.
Well, the stats that I saw, right. Well, the stats that I saw, and these were stats that were compiled from prior cases where, you had juries that were mixed, and got to see how these juries voted, and particularly for defendants, whether or not they were black or white. And what they found out was that, so when the defendant was white and the jury was black or had black people on it, they found the white person guilty over 70% of the time. But if the person was black, so if it was a black juror or black jurors and a black defendant, they only found him guilty, I think, about 22% of the time. And so when they reversed the roles on the studies and they said, okay, well, what would it be then if we have the black person sitting up on the stand and the white jurors, what is the percentage of conviction for that? And what they found out was that the ratio for conviction against black people when white people sat on a jury was, I think it was like 30%, 32%. So far under the 72% of what it was when the roles were reversed. So, you know, it's what it tells me is that when black people look at white people, and I'm not saying all black people, but there's a certain percentage of black people that look at white people, they look at them with suspicion. Like, oh, yeah, well, I automatically assume that you're up to no good. So, and that is a bias, which, you know, I can just tell you, Gray, that when I went to school, one of the things that I learned was that everyone carries a small degree of racism. That it is virtually impossible. Like if anybody says, well, I don't have any racism in me at all. Well, I mean, certainly if somebody is African American and they have a problem with white people because of their race, that does mean that they have racism in them.
I always hear the argument that they can't be racist because they're the minority or whatever, you know, like they're not the ruling class or whatever the hell kind of stupid commentary we always heard. Anybody can be racist, you know. It doesn't matter what race you are. I don't give a shit. I can't stand it, man. When they say that people, I think racism it happens on any race can be a racist, you know. I mean, that's just true. It's a true statement.
I mean, I certainly dealt with it in my workplace, and sadly, unfortunately, I watched many people get promoted into roles that clearly I had more qualifications than they did and more experience than they did, but I knew exactly what the company was doing, and I knew why they were doing it, and I knew that people who spoke out against that didn't stay long. So I know what that is like on the other side, and it's not pleasant at all, especially when you work really hard for something and you know that your performance is there, and all of a sudden someone is being judged higher than you that has less performance, and it's frustrating. But it's not about me today. It's about this case, and I just think that the good highlight is the fact that we do have people who testified who were African American who came to the aid of their friend, and they told the truth, you know, which is that this guy didn't, you know, shove him hard. He didn't, you know, because, I mean, they could have, it's a matter of interpretation, but they were actually having him act out the shove so that when a witness would take the stand, they would say, okay, well, come over here and show me how hard he pushed. And so it would be demonstrated for the jury to see. And what was done with every shove was a light shove. That was demonstrated by each witness. That tells you a lot right there.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good outcome. It's just I think the tactic of the seems like the family with that community organizer, whatever the hell that guy, you know, activist guy, that their whole thing is to try to turn it into a race case, to try to, I think, even to sway a jury, you know, that the people on the jury don't want to be perceived as racist. So maybe, and I even said that the other day. I said, I think the all-white jury might actually work in his favor because they'll feel a sense of duty to sort of, you know, almost go a little too much the other direction if they need to, just to seem to appear that they aren't racist or something, which just sucks. But if they're, you know, it's not a race case, though. That's the thing. And I really don't understand. I mean, they use that tactic, and then the prosecution made it a point to multiple times get people to say that it's not a racial case, you know, even though that's in the media. But anyway.
Yeah. They want to bend it in that direction, that's for sure. And I mean, I have wondered whether the judge might put a lenient sentence there because he's afraid of riots. He's afraid of what might happen if he lays down a sentence that's too thick.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, my thought on this, Gray, is that so there's certain things that people get to enjoy in life that are certain milestones. One of them might be, and I'm not saying it's for everybody, but for some people it's having a child or raising a family, getting married, buying a home, you know, all these things that you go through life and watching your children grow up, having grandchildren, you know, these joys that you get. And if he is released, for example, and he's out by the time he's 35, maybe even 37, 40 years old, he's still young enough to raise a family. He's still young enough to get married and enjoy life. And that inflames me to no end because, you know, I would be okay with him being released with 5 or 10 years left on his life where he doesn't get to raise a family and he doesn't get to have all those nice things that other people have when they go through a full life. But, you know, I wonder if this is going to be one of these things where we get 25 or 30 years on it, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't shock me, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. You know, 30 years. You know, I've seen people get out of prison for way quicker than that for a hell of a lot worse. You know, I mean, in terms of how it went down. You know, like something that was like just like an obvious. You know, like a sexual assault murder or something, and they're out in 15 years or something. I mean, it's just ludicrous, right? So it wouldn't shock me or anything. So, I mean, I think, you know, they pick first degree, though, you'd have to think it'd have to be pretty high because that means that it's a lot more sinister than, you know, than if you just gave him murder. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I just don't really want to think about too much about what the verdict is going to be and how many years. I mean, what the sentence is going to be. I think I know what the verdict's going to be. I just don't know what the sentence is. I guess we'll just have to react to it when we see it. You know?
Well, the sinister part for me is just the fact that he, you know, thought it was okay to walk around with a knife in the backpack, and I think it's fair to say that it wasn't in there for prepping up, you know, slices of salami, you know, that it was there for defense and offense. And what that tells me is that so that if you get into a fight with someone, you know, normally that if it comes to you know, fists, you know, someone might get the better of somebody else, and when they do, it's kind of over at that point. Now, it rarely gets to the point to where you're getting the better of somebody and now you're getting hurt so badly that you're like, my God, I got to get this person off me. I need to pull out a knife to, you know, make things even worse. That It really shows that you're this type of individual who is willing to inflict great bodily injury on somebody if the situation is right.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about the other day. It's just, you know, I don't I don't really know if I want somebody like that walking around. That have like in another time, you know, they get out and they're getting a similar situation where things just aren't going right, and they resort to deadly force immediately. You know, it's just crazy. You know. Anyways.
Right.
But I think
I probably.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm going to switch over to that other case in a few minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure I've burnt up my time. So.
You didn't burn up any time, but, I'm just saying. Yeah.
I did want to say that, so there was a discussion tonight elsewhere using the information that I personally believe they're copying you about these routes, the Nancy Guthrie routes.
Right.
And I just wanted to alert you that I think there's some copying going on, and it was going on tonight. And I was looking at it, and I'm just like, you dogs! I know,
like
I know where I saw this.
It's the same thing, like with the.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep, pretty much the same thing, and even talking about like where the original map came from. You know,
isn't that crazy? These people, they just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah. But I just want to give a shout out to everybody again in the chat, and Wild Bill Wassman. Just that guy cracks me up in the chat, by the way. So, the freaks are great. Being in there is just cool, and I just enjoy the time on the phone with you, Gray. But we'll let you carry on with the next case.
Awesome. You should type underneath that video, wow, I've seen this before.
Yeah, and they were also saying in there, like, and we know what's going on out there. So anyone that wants to come into the chat and say blah, 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 they made it sound like we've got this all scoped out and your comment's only going to be there a half a second. So I was like, I see what they're doing here. But anyway.
Yeah.
To anyone out there who's listening, if you want a true crime channel that covers the facts, that doesn't give you the bull, that won't spin you, he's not looking to, fool anybody. If you look at this channel, is the one that has donated the most to crime charities. So if you want proof of legitimacy, the money is right there. The proof is in the numbers. And so this is why this guy is the best. It's why I watch, and it's why I'll continue to watch.
All right.
All right, Gray.
Well, thank you. All right.
Take care, freaks. I'll be watching.
Jason Bourne. All right, see you. Have a good one. Jason Bourne. The legend. Man, I wonder what channel that was out there copying. Everybody always does that. We figure stuff out, we show stuff, and everybody pretends that they came up with it. Isn't that sick when they do that? Yeah. I spent a lot of time going over where all the cameras were, the route, and, why she came up with how it sneaks through the neighborhood. And these people just, they just, I don't know what to say. It's crazy. But hey, guys, any chance you guys can help support the channel? We're not anywhere near the goal still. We're at just barely over 50%. And it'd be great to try to reach the goal without having, the people that are always sending in super chats, etc., over and over and over again. How about the rest of you tonight try to get that done? That's the only way we're able to, at the end of the month, give away the thousands. I have money that I support the channel with at the same time, and then we give a ton of money also out of the income. So if you could consider doing we need to get probably 2 or 3 challenges, and then we'd be at the goal. Yep. I see, Wild Bill. You're up on. You got a ton of. It's just over and over and over again. Yeah, it's frustrating. All right, I'm going to do the Galvani. Nancy Galvani right there. Galvani, I guess. Yeah, so it's like in Foster City area. Or I guess, it is pretty much just downtown in San Francisco. Yeah, right here. And so in this case, the husband, he owned these 2 homes right here. I think this one here and this one right there. Or they both own those 2. So somebody was renting out this one, and I think he lived in that one. But anyways, maybe we can just go read this document. Or is this kind of just it for the night? Karen said she'll do one more challenge, you guys. See if we can do that. She'll do 15 if you guys do 15 in Super Chats. And she's tired, so let's see if we can do it kind of quick. All right, so we need $15 in super chats or 15 in memberships, and then she'll donate 3. Thanks, Karen. All right, so let's see if we can get that done. I know, because it wasn't me saying it. Maybe you guys will do it. Well, there's Wild Bill. There's one of them. We need 2 more, you guys. Let Karen go to sleep. Yeah. All right, let's do this. There's a bail hearing document here. I mean, I think it tells you the story in here, okay? So this actually has the case story in the document. But I'm going to wait till we get the challenge met. All right, so if you guys can, we need 2 more gifted memberships to reach the challenge by Karen. And then she'll donate 3. If you guys, just 3 of you do 1. $5. You know how it works. All right. Yep, we need 2 more, you guys. Right, Retro Man. Kill Melo. All right, guys, we need 2 more gifted memberships to reach Karen's challenge up there. This is what I'm talking about. This used to be like, boom, everybody would just do it because it makes huge help if people are willing to support more, all right? And we just have these long lulls where people just, yeah, forget it, Gray. Yeah, just do the shows, damn it. Just do the shows, damn it. Forget all the stuff that you've been doing before. Just do the damn show. And that's not how it works here, you guys. I do the shows. You guys support the channel, and we make great things happen. I'm in communication with a person whose mother was murdered or grandmother was murdered in 1971, and it's a pretty interesting case. And she just sent me all the documents, and I guess she was at CrimeCon talking to people. Talked to Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, and then we communicated. So she sent me the documents, and we're just gonna start, putting it together, sort of like this one, how we did this one. We need 2 more gifted memberships, you guys. Karen's trying to get to go to bed. Let's see. Yeah. Alley Cake's great. She always sends me emails and so forth, and I send her back some. I mean, every time she emails me. I don't care what the name is. I really don't give a shit how to spell Melo. All right, so if you guys can help support the channel, that'd be great. We need 2 more gifted memberships to match Karen. And see, this is the part right here where I hate having to do. You know, I need to try to reach the goals every single night. You guys aren't doing it, and it makes me have to ask 4,700 times. And then the trolls go, "Oh, look, there's Gray. He's asking to get the goals." You know, that's the only way to make it, you guys. For some reason, you guys don't respond, a lot of you, other than Wild Bill Wassman and the same people over and over and over again to the challenges, etc. The rest of you, a lot of you just sort of sit there and stare, and, you know, it's like, man, be part of what we do here. We do a lot of great things. It'd be awesome. All right, anyways, I'm going to move over to this. We're going to do this now. And thanks. It looks like we made it there. We got Wild Bill and a Crying Shame. Very cool. And it looks like that got to the challenge number. And thanks for, you know, basically Wild Bill and Karen tonight made a big difference. You know, without them, we'd be nothing. I mean, it would have been like a $40 night, which is where you just start collapsing. All right, so this is the case over here. We're going to go ahead and read it. Okay, and right here is the statement of facts, so we don't have to go back over and redo the case again. Digging around through the files. I went through the newspapers.com originally, and then Allison Galvani sent me a ton of, like, she had a whole bunch of documents and stuff like that, so we went over that, and then I created a video that, when you watch the video, that absolutely proves that, I mean, it's just, there's no other conclusion that you can come up with other than the fact that her father killed her mother. And the reason like, her YouTube name, and I think, I'm not sure if she wrote a book or whatever it was called My Father's Alibi. That's her name on YouTube. The reason it's My Father's Alibi is because she actually, the person who she stayed overnight at, his name was the same name as her dad, and she called her dad for some reason by her first name back then. So like Pat, like I think it was Pat Moriarty or something like that, if I remember correctly. But, you know, and then she said, I was with Pat, and they go, "Oh, okay, great. So you're with your dad," but they didn't clarify that. She was actually given to somebody else. So, I mean, if you had a situation like this, and let's say somebody was, what do you call it? Let's say somebody has custody of your kid that weekend, and they tell you to come pick up your kid a day before that you're normally supposed to pick them up, only to later find out that the kid that you're supposed to pick up was sent somewhere else, so they would not be there when you got to the house a day early. Right? Just that alone is enough to go, okay, yeah, I mean, it's clear who's likely involved. And then every single other element did that. We reached the challenge, right, you guys? See, you guys, it took so long, Karen probably went to sleep. Mm-hmm. Are you guys interested in this? Let's get on to this case here. All right. You guys seem to be talking about other things unrelated to this. Let's try to do this one. All right. So on Monday, August 9th, 1982, at approximately 12:20 p.m., 3 fishermen operating a small boat in the San Francisco Bay, south of San Mateo Hayward Bridge. Wow, so now I think we can actually, let's see. It's right over here. I think this is it. Let's see. a small boat in the San Francisco Bay south of the San Mateo Hayward Bridge. So that means, so like in the water, I think kind of in this, maybe in this area right here. They made a grisly discovery. The witness observed a large object floating near a piling and upon closer inspection realized it was a human body encased in a sleeping bag. So we've gone over this case many times, but now there's a document that describes what police have put together. And this is the statement of fact, which is really kind of like, probable cause, but it was used in a denial of bail request, which apparently is pretty rare in California, but they denied his bail. So he's been in jail for 7 months now, if you can believe that. I think Karen took off, you guys. You scared her away. She went to sleep. We never got to reach I guess it's right there. 1777. That was a good year. Thank you. I thought she took off. Karen. Wait, what am I doing? I got to put your name in here. So check back tomorrow. You might win. I got you guys down for the spin. And thanks to Crying Shame up there as well. You've been helping out. Appreciate that. All right. So the witness observed a large object floating near a piling and upon closer inspection realized it was a human body encased in a sleeping bag. The Foster City Police Department, San Mateo County Crime Lab, and San Mateo County Coroner's Office responded to the scene to recover the remains. The recovering officer observed that the body was that of an adult female, clothed only in a pair of women's briefs. The victim, who was initially, so just underwear. The victim, who was initially unidentified, had been placed inside a green side zip sleeping bag, which was secured with ropes and weighed down by a heavy concrete cinder block. The configuration of the weights suggested a deliberate effort to sink the body, which had only surfaced after the configuration shifted underwater. The body was transported to the San Mateo County Coroner's Office, where an autopsy was performed by Dr. Arthur Lack. Dr. Lack determined that the victim's cause of death was asphyxiation due to strangulation. The examination further revealed significant trauma, including a fractured vertebrae and skull fracture to the left temple. Based on the condition of the remains, Dr. Lack estimated that the body had been submerged in the water for approximately 12 hours, placing the time of death between noon and midnight on Sunday, August 8th, 1992. All right, so initially the decedent was classified as a Jane Doe. That's right. So we actually had, our picture was put in the paper, a drawing. And due to the absence of identification on the body, a composite sketch was generated and disseminated to local media outlets. I wonder if I have that just sitting here. Well, let's see. See if we get lucky here. Got to sign in. Let's see. These are the newspaper articles. There it is. Body found in the bag in the bay. We got that one. Let's see what this one says. Woman killed. That's a different one. That's not that one. It's not this one. Bay corpse was strangled. Victim. See that? Whole article on that. And then San Francisco. That's right. Business executive faces arraignment and death of his wife. So they looked into him. Patrick, Vincent, Galvani, Moriarty, I think it's the... So we had that one. And then this, here's the sketch right there. So husband reports wife missing after body found in bay. So after the body was found in the bay, and then a friend of theirs convinced like, hey, that looks like your wife, Nancy, in the drawing. And then he calls in. Okay. It's just absolutely ludicrous. But we have all these articles and stuff. So that was the sketch there. The body was transported to the San Mateo County Coroner's Office where an autopsy was performed. And I think we just went through some of that. Dr. Lack estimated that the body had been submerged in the water for approximately 12 hours, placing the time of death between noon and midnight on Sunday, August 8, 1982. Initially, the decedent was classified as a Jane Doe due to the absence of identification on the body. A composite sketch was generated and disseminated to local media outlets. On Friday, August 13th, 1982, Nalema Tanner and Catherine Merschel, co-manager of the Civic Center Resident Club Hotel in San Francisco, contacted authorities. They believe the woman in the sketch was their tenant, Nancy Galvani. So they believe the woman in their sketch was, believe the woman in the sketch was their tenant, Nancy Galvani, who had been missing since the evening of August 8th, 1982. So the same night, she went missing, 1982. Detectives transported Tanner and Merschel to the morgue, where they positively identified the decedent as Nancy Patricia Galvani. The identification was independently confirmed through a comparison of the victim's fingerprints to those on file with the Department of Motor Vehicles. An investigation into the victim's death revealed a volatile history between the victim and the defendant, who was her husband. And then in June of 1982, approximately 2 months prior, look, this is how long. See, 1982 is when this happened. And it wasn't until she came to, like, us and we started making videos and so forth that the prosecution actually woke up and went, oh, okay, let's do this now. This case should have been prosecuted and resolved decades ago. It's embarrassing to them that they didn't do it back then. Hey, thanks, Karen. She said, thank you to all those who helped meet the challenges. I appreciate you all. Good night. And thank you, Karen. And thank you so much. You made a huge difference. And you're always helping out, too. So thank you for the 1777. That's pretty funny. No, so thank you very much. I wish we had more people. That's why it makes it harder. Let's see. So the investigation into the victim's death revealed a volatile history between the victim and the defendant. Now, there's articles that actually talk about, one of them talks about how she said he smothered her one night. And then he goes, yeah, I smothered her. She was being really noisy, but I didn't mean to do it. It's like, come on. I mean, this guy, he's a total nut job. He thought people would believe that. A defendant who was her husband, and then it says, in June of 1982, approximately 2 months prior to her death, the victim, Nancy, moved into the Civic Center Residence Club. Okay, so let's just show that how that all worked. This is where they lived. In one of the, I think the one on the right here, this is where Nancy and Pat lived, but she moved out 2 months prior to that. And then she moved over to 44 McAllister Street, right here to the Civic Center, right in this area. I think, yeah, this building right here, this one. So she moved into that building. And it says with her 5-year-old daughter, Allison. So Allison's the one that's been on our show, and we've talked to her, but she's only 5 years old. She had fled the marital residence at 1871. So let's see now. Now we can verify which one. See, I have 1871 and 1865. Spin around, and yes, 1871 is the one on the right. So it's this one right there. All right. Green Street in San Francisco due to ongoing domestic violence and after partially after a particularly brutal assault perpetrated by the defendant. Prior to the so there was an assault, and then she moved out 2 months prior. Prior to the hotel, she had sought refuge at Raphael House, a shelter for battered women. Witnesses at both locations described Nancy as fearful of the defendant and deeply concerned about his controlling behavior and threats. The victim had filed a petition for dissolution of marriage, so she actually filed for divorce in San Francisco County on June 17, 1982, listing the date of separation as June 16, 1982. In her declaration supporting a temporary restraining order, she detailed a history of abuse, specifically citing an incident in April of 1982 when the defendant struck her with a fist and placed a pillow. This is the one. Placed a pillow over her face to prevent her from screaming. The defendant filed responsive declarations on July 13, 1982, in which he admitted to the physical altercation. Isn't that funny? See, I put this in the video. Isn't that funny? Like this exact stuff. In his own words, the defendant wrote, "I then pushed her away and she fell into the kitchen counter. I put a pillow over her face to quiet her down and to deaden the noise for our neighbors." The couple were in the middle of the contentious divorce when the victim disappeared. The victim had requested primary custody of Allison, spousal support, and a division of the couple's real estate holdings, which included 1871 and 1865 Green Street, those same two addresses I just showed you. Now, don't you think that's I mean, this is so classic. This is like the classic case where somebody doesn't want to pay child support or any of those things and is willing to kill to keep from having to do that. Hopefully you guys are following along right now. I don't know. I can already see we're down to 112 people. I feel like I just want to like bail, you know. Whenever it's just like, yeah, you know. This case is really interesting. That's why I get frustrated when people leave. Like, hey, I just want to talk about something else. You know, this one's interesting. Okay, right. Okay, keep talking about other things. So I don't know. Financial records and court filings indicated significant financial distress for the defendant. He had quit his job in May of 1982 to start a new business, Abbott Galvani and Associates, and reported negative monthly income. He claimed he could not afford to move out of the shared apartment unless the victim paid his living expenses and resisted the divorce, stating he should not have to vacate the property. Additionally, the victim had previously discovered the defendant's involvement in an illegal financial project. I didn't know about that, which had precipitated her demand for divorce. So there was this illegal financial thing and the abuse and everything, and then she wanted a divorce. So that was part of it. The timeline immediately preceding the homicide centers on a custody exchange. So listen to this part. Of the couple's daughter, Allison. On Thursday, August 5th, 1982, the victim dropped Allison off at the defendant's residence at 1871. So this is August 5th, right? So 3 days before. And she was dropped off at 1871 Green Street for the weekend, which is this one right here. All right. The agreed upon plan was for the victim to pick Allison up on Monday, August 9th. That was the original plan, that Nancy was supposed to pick up Allison on August 9th. However, on August 7th, the defendant contacted the victim and altered the arrangement, insisting she pick up Allison on Sunday, August 8th at 8 p.m. Right? But that's, a day before she was supposed to. But she's a good mom, so she's like, yeah, okay. The defendant claimed this change was necessary due to a sudden business trip requiring him to take a midnight flight. The victim was upset by this demand. She was upset, Nancy, as she had organized a taco party. So she was supposed to have a taco party for residents at her hotel scheduled for the same Sunday evening, the 8th. A diary, we went over the diary, we had that. A diary found in the victim's room contained an entry dated August 7th, 1982, corroborating this conflict. She said, picked up Allison. She said it after the fact. She hadn't picked up Allison yet, but she just kind of filled it in because she knew that she was going to be doing that. She said, picked up Allison Sunday at 8 p.m. instead of Monday, 8:30 at his residence. I asked if he could drop her off at 8 p.m. as I committed myself to, and that's a good point too. Like, why didn't he just drive Allison to Nancy's new place, but he didn't want it that way. He needed to get her over there. So I asked if he could drop her off at 8 p.m. as I had committed myself to service at a residence gathering, but he said, you want her? You always have to pick her up and drop her off. I never will. On the evening of Sunday, August 8, 1982, the victim assisted in setting up the party at the hotel. So Nancy set up the party at the hotel. However, between 7:30 and 8 p.m., she informed witnesses, including friend Melody Mills and resident Howard Histed, that she had to leave briefly to pick up Allison, pick her up from the defendant's residence, but would return shortly. The defendant's residence was a short drive from the hotel. Witness provided a precise description of her clothing: a brown tweed slacks, a long sleeve green or olive blouse with a Peter Pan collar, a tan trench-style coat, brown sandals, and aviator-style eyeglasses with a slight tint. Wonder if I should just do this tomorrow during the day. This is more interesting than just sort of everybody getting sleepy and yeah. I think that's what I'm going to do. This goes 13 pages. We're on page 5, and it's just it's just so little people commenting, etc. So I'm just going to do it tomorrow, and let's see. So thank you to Karen. Let me go up here. Thanks, Karen. Wild Bill Wassman, 6 Kids UK, Alley Cake, Karen. Oh, I'll do it like this. Karen, then we had Wild Bill Wassman. I know, it might be interesting to you, but nobody's typing, and I'll just try to do it during the day tomorrow. 6 Kids UK, then we had Alley Cake, Karen. And I've told everybody a million times, when you guys stop commenting, that's when the show ends, right? And then we've got Alley Cake, and then we've got Blazer, then we got A Crying Shame, Karen, Wild Bill Wassman, A Crying Shame, and then we got Wild Bill Wassman, then Karen, then Wild Bill Wassman, then Karen, and that was it. All right, so it was really just very few people supported the channel tonight, and that makes it really where it gets nervous going into the future. It's like, yeah, I know, but if 1 or 2 people are interested, I'd rather do it tomorrow. It's like I'm sitting here talking, and maybe tomorrow would have different people watching, and it's in the daytime, and people aren't sleepy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's another hour on here, and I think it'll just be spinning my wheels. So maybe tomorrow, if we do we could read the rest of it. I mean, I'll just start over. The whole show is just going to be reading that document, and then using the map and everything. What do you think? I mean, I know you're interested, but I'd rather have like other people awake and watching it. Some people just went to sleep already, and they're not going to go watch a live stream. So I'll just make it so it's just about that. Maybe tomorrow during the day sometime. I don't know. All right, cool. Sorry about that. But anyways, thanks for those who helped tonight. We had no coffees. We had no anything other forms. So it was really not, we got somewhere, but like 60%, I think. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know, more like 59% of the nightly goals. So going backwards again. Had many of those days. But I guess we would have gone even further backwards if a lot of you didn't support the channel. So thank you. All right. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm glad the Spurs won. Because I get the New York fans are just ridiculous. They are just, they think they're so, they have choked so many times. And I would love it for the Spurs to win 4 straight and just, shut them the hell up, man. You got these just morons, the way they run around and just, God, just watching it I almost wanted to vomit. They feel like they're just so awesome. I don't know. Kind of makes me feel shitty that somebody's copying what I was doing in the Nancy Guthrie case. Yeah. I'd rather just I'd rather have you guys just say something to them and not know about it myself, to be honest. Because it always just puts me it makes me down. It's like, geez, here we go again. All right, thanks everybody. See you guys later. Oh wait, hold on a second. I forgot to do my I had the wheel of names spin. Hold on. Didn't want to forget that. Alright, here we go. Here is the spin for a notebook. Here we go. Shovel, 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 and bing, here we go. Hey, it's Allie Cake. All right. All right. I'll make sure she knows. Very cool. It's almost prophetic, wasn't it? All right. Thanks, everybody. See you guys later. And be safe out there.